So when we write a book, the book for right now is one that satisfies something that I call the heart spot. We have a vision. We have a strategy. We have our ideal reader. We have research that we need to do to find the gap in the market, and we have the right content for right now. We are all subject matter experts, and one of the questions I get asked loads is, but I know all of this stuff. Well, you might know all of that stuff and you might be able to write 300,000 words. Nobody is going to read that. They're more likely to read 30 to 40,000. So you may have a series of books. Remember, we're at the start of a particular journey. It's going to take some time to write this book. So, we have to look at how that fits with that mission and that vision and our current strategy. And we write the book that is going to give us the most impact when we launch it. So our core message, like our business, is our book's focus. So we're answering these questions. Every book has a core message, and it becomes the book's identity. And like I've said many times, your book and your business, it is all connected, and it's based on the things we talked about, these things called themes. Every chapter ties into your core message. And your book needs to create images and tell stories and move people emotionally. It needs to answer questions and deliver value. Because what we want to do is inspire and motivate our readers to buy our book. So for me, it is always about this triangle: core message, reader. What are the questions that the reader wants to have answered? And every chapter has a key message that links into the core message of our book, that links into the core message of our business. So remind yourself of your mission, your vision, and your message. Perhaps write them up and put them somewhere that you can see. So what's the vision for your book? So remember, I broke vision down into values, inspiration, soul story, intention, opportunity, and needs. But now the questions are different. What value will your reader get from reading your book? Who do you want to inspire and why? What slice of your soul story or process, if you're not writing a personal story, or key learning are you sharing? Or it might be that you're sharing all three. Why are you writing your book, and what is its intention? What opportunities will your book bring you? What do you need to write it, and why do you need to write it, and why does your reader need to read it? What are they going to get? What's the outcome? What's the result? And what do you need to bring it to fruition? What resources? What are the steps? How are you going to do it? And we create this vision because it gives us clarity, focus, and then it opens up opportunities which we can use for promotion. Because you need to start promoting your book even before you start writing it. So what's your book's theme? And how do we find those themes? One of the ways that I do it is I use what's called writing for the soul, journaling. I look deep within. I also create something called a timeline. And when I create my timeline, I journal around it, and it helps to give me clarity. You might look at products and services that you've created because you're doing the things that you love, or at least you should be. And you're solving problems for your ideal reader. You're answering questions, but also you've done some market research and you've discovered the gap in the market that fits with your mission, your vision, and your core message. So how do you do a timeline? Well, you create a set of categories down one side, time frames across the top, And then you just start, either use post-it notes or scribble with coloured pens, stuff that arises for you where categories and times intersect. And you need to take a little bit of time doing this, maybe an hour, maybe do it over a period of a week. Just keep allowing stuff to come up and journal while you're doing it. You will get deep, deep, deep learning. And then you leave to reflect, and what will happen is you will start to make connections and create aha moments. You will start to kind of make sense of things. When we're making sense, we're coming back to our timeline and we're joining things together. So stuff that might have happened in childhood might have linked to something that you did when you were a teenager, which then affects something now, something that you want to write about. So you're making connections, you're discovering themes, you're finding those events that shaped you. You're looking at how you've become who you are, and more importantly, all the unbecoming before you become again. You find your challenges, lessons, and your life's gifts. So let me remind you of mine. I've gone from anger and frustration to inner peace and contentment, from self-hatred to self-love. And I find that my themes have helped me in terms of creating a business around stuff that I absolutely love. And these themes help me to write books around the things that are important to me, helping people to find themselves, their voice, and having the courage to write their stories. So what are your themes? Start to look deep within. Create the timeline. You're not going to be able to do it right at this point, but put the time aside. Look at, what are you doing? What are the themes around the products and services that you already have, or perhaps in your product roadmap? What are the problems that you are solving for your ideal reader or your ideal client? And what is the gap in the marketplace when you do your research? So what is the outcome? What is the result you want your reader to get from reading your book? So let's say, for example, you are a self-love coach. Your overarching story might be that the book that you're writing is about a journey to self-love. And what you're doing is you're teaching people to learn to love themselves, because you believe that loving yourself creates a strong foundation for your life, and it helps people to find inner peace and contentment. So if I take my book is a big story. I left someone who was a narcissist. Well, they still are, I imagine. Can't imagine that they would have changed. And I went through I had a few accidents. I ended up in a lot of physical pain, and that helped the feelings of self-hatred to arise, to come back, to haunt me, to really bring them to the surface. And I went through a process of learning to love myself. While I was doing all of this, I did a Well Woman test and discovered I had an overactive thyroid. So depending on what my business is, the core message of this particular book could be any number of things. So if I were a nutritionist, it might be about taking control of your eating, which helps you to control your health and your life. If I were a relationship coach, it might be about, building strong relationships. And like I said, if I was a self-love coach, it might be about, how you move yourself into finding inner peace and contentment. However, I'm not. My book is about inspiring others to have the courage to write their stories, but it does cover some of these subjects. So it's really knowing your business, knowing your mission, your vision, and your core message to know which is the right book. I mean, it might be, for example, that, I am trained in naturopathic nutrition. I might decide for some bizarre reason at some time in my life I'd like to be a nutritionist. Well, my book will help me to do that. So you might find yourself doing something. You might be in the corporate world right now and you might want to move into entrepreneurship. Your book is a vehicle to help you do that around your themes and your stories. So we discover Our core message, as I keep saying, through mission, vision, themes, and connecting life and business with our book. So right now, I'd like you to just think, what is the core message of your book? Don't worry if it changes. For now, just write the first thing that comes into your head.